It's too late.
New week begins. Time to make some money. Let's find out if indeed you can. Here comes the Money Master, the director of financial newsletters at Newsmax.com, Jeff Yastine. Jeff, I see that we're starting out the week not bad. Looks like at least the Dow's up.
Yeah, it's just another one of these days where Wall Street just kind of slowly levitating higher. We have the Dow up 30 points, the Nasdaq's up about 15 points, 14 points, and the S&P 500 up 5. Gas prices, oil prices remain low, and I think it's just one of those things where Wall Street figures there's just more unfinished business to the upside here for stock prices.
All right, here comes the news. One of the world's biggest stock markets, Shanghai, is going to open up to foreign investors next week, grant access to shares of hundreds of Chinese companies that stand to benefit from Beijing's reforms. Also, I would guess the fact that a lot of people are going to look and say it can make us a lot of money in the stock market.
Of course. China has a particular interest these days. They are making a deliberate effort in moving their economy from a manufacturing-oriented economy to one that in some ways is, broadly speaking, sort of like ours. It's focused on consumer spending, on that sort of consumption type of growth. And so you have a large number of companies, especially those ones that are listed in Shanghai, which have been largely excluded from foreign investors really being able to come in and buy those in large amounts. And they've really been sort of the plaything of, if you will, day traders in China who kind of buy and sell out of these things very quickly. So they're opening that exchange up. It should allow for more capital to come into it. And the market will figure out which of those companies, there's 500 something or so that I believe are part of this initial group, that will decide which ones are worth putting more money into and which ones aren't.
With the fact that there's a lot more consumers there, and of course they're growing and spending a little bit more money, that seems like a really great way for some people to make some money again, if you are an intelligent investor. I guess the intelligent investor might have been the people who got involved in Alibaba. Here you go. They're selling, this is their Alibaba Shopping Festival, I guess, to go ahead and get everybody in, make sure that they buy things at very cheap prices. First hour, the Alibaba Shopping Festival, $2 billion. I wish so much I'd have bought a couple of pieces of that stock. I mean, are we going to see a lot more of this? I mean, it's $2 billion. That has to be significant.
And it just depends. I mean, are you a day trader, or are you buying this thing for 6 months or a year or 2 years or 3 years? Alibaba does have plenty of other competitors, although it certainly is the largest on the block in China. This is what we're talking about, is what's called Singles Day in China. And across the entire country, they'll do, the estimates are they'll do about $8 billion on this one day. They did $5.7 billion on Singles Day last year, November 11th, 2013. And Alibaba will obviously grab a huge chunk of that. And what it really shows is that China's internet market is maturing, and in the same way it took people in this country a number of years before they really became comfortable buying things online, Amazon, tickets, all the stuff that we take for granted that's routine now. Consumers in China are going through that same adjustment process now.
All right, the good news is gas prices are going down. The bad news is food prices are going up, and it's all going to balance out one way or the other.
Well, it depends on who you talk to. I mean, the interesting thing is that it depends on whether we're talking about a net sort of thing where what we're gaining from gas prices, we're losing with higher food prices. The thing that I think about with food prices is you do have multiple choices on that. You can go to Walmart, you can go to your local grocer, you can shop. I think it's much more difficult to do that when you're talking about gasoline. It's tough to have substitutions on that sort of thing, unless you're just going to buy an electric car or go to diesel or those sorts of things. So food prices do have an impact, but remember that when it comes to calculating inflation, the government excludes food and energy prices from its calculation of consumer price data, the CPI. So we'll really have to see whether or not it's really that big of a deal or not.
All right, we'll have to call it there. Dow's still up. We'll check in tomorrow. Mr. Yastine, thank you so much, sir. We'll see you on Tuesday.
Thanks, Ed.
All right, don't forget, if you want to find out what's cooking as far as money is concerned, go to Newsmax.com, click on the Money tab. You'll go to the Money News page. You'll read about a lot more that Jeff and the guys are covering there. Also, be sure to see Jeff's latest report on a covert plan to unleash financial havoc by visiting FIRcollapse.com. All right, short intermission. We return with D.C. insider John Gizzi inside the Beltway. Good news for Republicans in Louisiana. And coming up a little bit later on, the water cooler. And as far as the water cooler is concerned for today, we will indeed take a little jaunt down to Sesame Street. Remember, Richard Nixon liked Sesame Street. That and so much more coming up right here on